Funkadelic has a song on their album. The album's called Standing on the Verge of Getting It On. But there's a song on there called Good Thoughts, Bad Thoughts. It's 12 minutes. It's an instrumental. It's beautiful. It's strange if you've never heard it, but it's beautiful. Haiku. Openness dawning, hidden behind see-through veils, darkness lost to light. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Carlton Cullins here in South Austin, Texas, and welcome to MIXTAPE GUMBO. Today I want to start off, I want to talk a little bit about the idea or the concept of meditation. Meditation, what an abstract concept and word. It's funny, when you say the word meditation, people react to that very differently. You may be experiencing it now. You may have a lot of mixed feelings. I know I kind of do too. I'll come out right out and say it that I don't know if I fully understand what meditation is. I don't know if many people do. But I have heard about the word all my life. I have tried various versions of meditation. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, but it's funny. Before I start rambling too much, I want to go to Wikipedia and I want to actually read what it says the definition is on Wikipedia. All right, here we are. It says, meditation is a practice where an individual operates or trains the mind or induces a mode of consciousness either to realize some benefit or for the mind to simply acknowledge its content without being identified with that content or as an end in itself. So that's pretty heavy. That's a cool definition, but it's pretty abstract. Some people aren't going to feel that one. It goes on to say, this one might be better. The term meditation refers to a broad variety of practices that include techniques designed to promote relaxation, build internal energy or life force, and develop compassion, love, patience, generosity, and forgiveness. That I dig. I like that. You know, I grew up in Northeast Texas, in a town called Tyler, Texas, deep in the Bible Belt. You know, coming up in Tyler, Texas, the attitudes around meditation were funny. But I think because meditation became popular and more well-known during probably the 60s and a time when a lot of heavy illegal drug use was used, the attitudes in a conservative town like Tyler and around the people that I grew up around, it was kind of, you know, it was something associated with drug use and probably criminal activity, and people thought it was total hippy-dippy bullshit. Like it's fake, it's not real. You know, living life, moving away from there, and being around people that have actually used it in their life and it has transformed their life and helped them, it's profound, and it's very easy for me to say that definitely it does work well for some people. And I think most people, if they've never tried it, should try it before they knock it. But with that said, you know, I grew up going to a Southern Baptist church until I was 18 years old. And, you know, prayer is involved in church, particularly in Christianity and I guess all religion. The way I see it now after all these years is prayer and meditation are kind of one and the same thing. So I've kind of come to form my own definitions about things, but it's funny. Meditation, when it gets really perverted, I think in certain realms, because I've been around some people that were that had been around transcendental meditation. You hear this term a lot. It may even be copyrighted or trademarked. That's how crazy this stuff gets. So meditation seems like a good thing. It's like almost like prayer, deep thought, getting you to, you know, get in touch with your inner self. But some people profit off this and make a lot of money. Like, to get into some of this transcendental meditation stuff, you pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to people to teach you how to do it, which to me is just, man, you know, you could do what you want, to each their own, but man, I would say this stuff should be free. If anybody's trying to charge you for it, they'll probably sell snake oil out the back of their car too. But moving on, it's just my feelings on that. But I have come to believe that meditation, two things you can do to really, to try to experience a little bit of it, is to get in a relaxed state. Lie down, close your eyes if you need to, but be comfortable. And have all the distractions, as many distractions, everything that you can away, turned off, moved away. You are alone and you are concentrating on your breathing. And if you're going to think about anything, you can think about one thing, something that's preferably good for you, a positive thought deeply, and breathe for 5 or 10, maybe 15 minutes. something I do on a regular basis. And like I said, there's a lot of books and there's lectures and all kinds of stuff that you can get ideas. There's lots of different ways that people meditate all over the world and have since the beginning of time and will to the end of time, I'm sure. But I definitely am about going outside. I like being in nature. I think nature is a good way to get in touch with anything that's good in your own nature, your own life. Is go outside, get into a comfortable place, lie down somewhere safe that's outside. They're not going to get a lot of bugs on you. Lie down in a comfortable position. I like to use music in headphones. I particularly use this one particular song from Funkadelic, which is one of George Clinton's bands, but original band. But Funkadelic has a song on their album. The album's called Standing on the Verge of Getting It On. But there's a song on there called Good Thoughts, Bad Thoughts. It's 12 minutes. It's an instrumental. It's beautiful. It's strange if you've never heard it, but it's beautiful. I usually put that in my ears. I lie down on a mat outside on a nice day. If it's hot in the summer, I'll lie down in the morning when it's cooler. And I look up at the sky, as far in the sky as I can, like it's the highest clouds, the highest bird, the deepest blue, whatever. Just trying to get my gaze away. And I just concentrate on breathing in through my nose, out slowly through pursed lips. So lips together. And just do that. Rhythmic breathing, listening to this music, looking deeply, and just thinking, or trying to think about nothing or think about something beautiful. I know it sounds crazy and abstract, but meditation can do a lot of things for people, but it's not going to be for everybody, and depending how they first get exposed to it, when I moved to Austin when I was 21 years old, 1996, I got exposed to people that some seemed like it was the real deal. Meditation seemed real to them and to me, and it seemed like it was really something that you could do. Others, it seemed like they didn't understand it and they pretended like they did, and it kind of turned me off, and they talked so much about it and talked about being at peace, and I came to learn that a lot of them weren't really peaceful people. They were just pretending to be. So it kind of turned me off to it. But then later on in life, as I've gotten older and matured, I've met people that it's really done amazing things for me, particularly people who have had traumatic physical or mental, emotional experiences. Man, if it can do good things for people, it could probably do good things for all of us. But I'm not trying to sell you on it. I just want to expose you. If you've never thought about it, it might be something to think about. I myself have used exercise as a meditation. I've thought of my exercise as a meditation because I've always, for the most part, worked out alone. I see movement as medicine. I see all my movement that I do, even if it's not exercise, any movement, even going for a walk, as a form of meditation. Because ultimately, I think meditation is important for you to be alone and get in touch with your inner thoughts. A lot of people run from their thoughts. I think that's what leads a lot of people to do things that maybe aren't good for them, seeking answers in places they're probably not going to find them. When you go within, and it's very deep, a lot of people, this is what I think draws a lot of people to certain religions and religion in general, is because the power of prayer and this thought, and a lot of that is, and that's the things that I like about certain religions and stuff. It does promote that, and I think when it promotes that for the benefit of for improving your own mental and emotional, spiritual health, and then that feeding into making the world a better place, hey man, I'm all for that. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way. But I've used exercise and meditation. I exercise pretty much every day for at least 30 minutes. I do different things. I'm not going to get into all the details because the details aren't really that important. Not right now. I think just seeing that, that's what's a lot of the big reason has kept me exercising consistently for over 32 years or something like that, is because I have more than one reason to exercise. For me, I'm always typically alone. I typically either I'm exercising with the music of my choice, or I'm not listening to any music at all, and it's more like solitude. It's the solitude aspect that's the theme of this podcast today, and it's the theme that I want to hit home in meditation. It's important to go within, find out what's going on inside, and make peace with everything that you can. That may mean making peace with demons, things you don't like, but that's important to start trying to deal with those. There's a really famous and popular personal trainer, who works with a lot of pro football players and people of that level, named Todd Durkin. I've met Todd Durkin many, many times at seminars that I've gone to and talked to him. But he always talks about he works with these guys and gals that are elite performers. They're so busy. Their time is so valuable that when he has them for an hour for a workout, say, at the very end of that workout, he knows that if he doesn't make them sit and relax for a minute or 2 minutes, they're not going to probably get it for the rest of their day. They're just going to be busy, 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 going. But he makes each and every one of them at the very end lie down on the ground, close their eyes, try to think about nothing, and deep breathe for 1 minute. When the 1 minute's up, he tells them, focus on what you want your day to be like. Think about what you want out of your life and how can you put that in action today. It sounds crazy. It sounds like it's not even doable, but that's just a simple form of meditation. Just ideas. All they are is ideas. You got to find something that works for you. Lastly, I want to say that time alone is so important. A lot of us, we don't get that sometimes. I know it's totally important for me. I'm a people person. There's a lot of people who know that I am. And I enjoy being around people, but I wouldn't be that. I wouldn't be positive at all if I didn't have the time spent alone. But I know a lot of people that's hard to do. A lot of people aren't happy when they're alone. They have to deal with things that that are uncomfortable. But spending time alone is so important, even if it's only 1 minute out of your day. I would say if you could get more than that, that's great, but try to find time alone each and every day, especially if you've got a family, you've got a lot of friends that you hang out with, you're around a lot of people at work, you need a little bit of time alone. Find that. Find where you can put that in each and every day, and I guarantee you'll be better. But the opposite is true. I think too much time alone can be bad. It can be dangerous. I've been there too, and that's where you have to deal with loneliness at some point, which we all humans have to deal with. So I think too much time alone can be bad. Too much time with other people can be bad. I think everything has to be balanced. Find your balance. But remember, solitude is important. You can use different forms of meditation, anything that you enjoy, that relaxes you, that you can put focus in, and you can breathe calmly will probably be a form of meditation. Anyway, enough said. Let's move on. All right. I want to switch gears for a second. I want to talk a little bit more or less about the power of music, but I want to talk about one person in particular, somebody who had a huge impact on my own life, and that would be Chris Cornell. Some of you may know who Chris Cornell is. For those of you who don't, Chris Cornell was the lead singer for the band Soundgarden. He was also one of the main songwriters and one of the singers for Temple of the Dog. He had a long, successful solo career, and he also went on later to be the lead singer for the band Audioslave. He did a lot of stuff. He recently passed away. There's some controversy on what exactly happened. Some say it was suicide. Some say it was suicide by accident because he was taking sleeping pills and possibly other drugs and maybe had a psychotic episode. They don't really know. It doesn't really matter. He's gone. He had a huge impact on me, and I will miss him, and I love him dearly. I first heard him sing in the band Soundgarden on the album Bad Motorfinger, which came out my junior year is when I heard it. So 1991, around there, blew me away. If you've never heard the album, it's heavy, it's loud, it's rock, it's mean. It was at that time in my life, like I said, I grew up in Northeast Texas, a little small town in Tyler, Texas. It was hugely powerful. I was playing in bands. Chris Cornell was the main songwriter for the band, so I knew that when I started reading about him. It just fascinated me because he had this powerful voice. If you've ever heard him scream, he was the screamer of all screams. I always used to say, man, like if the Olympics had a metal rock vocalist like category, he would have took gold for the USA. He was a bad mofo, but he had a great great voice, and he could also do other things besides screaming. He just had a beautiful voice. But he was a songwriter. And if you read anything about the way that he wrote, he was from Seattle. He was one of the main bands responsible for the grunge movement, the whole alternative movement from Seattle, Washington. Seattle's a beautiful place. If you've never been, I highly recommend going up there. It's beautiful. Lots of trees, greenery, hills, water. Chris grew up in that, and he was, like I said, he was a songwriter. He was the primary songwriter for every project he was ever in. And he wrote songs and even whole albums. I think the whole Temple of the Dog album, which in my opinion is best representative of his work. He wrote, I believe he went camping by himself with his dog, but he went on a camping trip alone in solitude, which is kind of the whole spirit of this podcast today, is just the solitude allowed him to get into a place where he could write some really heavy stuff. And he talked about a lot of stuff. He definitely loved nature. He loved his dog. He wrote a lot about the struggle between power. And something in my own life that I've always noticed is just we're born as humans. We have nothing. We die with nothing. But during this lifetime, during the time that we're alive, we struggle with power, whether it be that money or your influence on other people or whatever. But it's just this weird thing. And some people tend to always have the upper hand, and they always deal a bad hand to everybody else. And he wrote a lot about that, and it was profound. To this day, it was just... I'll never forget that. I'm thankful for him being a part of my life. If you've never checked out his music, I definitely recommend listening to it. I'm going to suggest a song and maybe an album in a second. But a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, my wife works downtown in downtown Austin, and they played on the rooftop of their building during South by Southwest for I guess it was the 20th anniversary of the Super Unknown album, which they called the Black Album. I, of course, was there. I went there and got on the front row 3 or 4 hours before they went on. I wanted to be on the front row. I didn't care if I was the only one. I didn't care if anybody made fun of me. I wanted to be there, and it was amazing. So by the time they finally got around and were going to play, it was packed. Everybody was tons of people behind me. I was on the front row right in front of Chris Cornell. And man, he came out, and the lights that they used were mostly blue. I remember that. It was dark. Like Soundgarden is dark, and it was heavy, and it was loud, and they played the entire Super Unknown album, a few other things, but they played the entire Super Unknown album. It was amazing. It's my favorite album from them, and it was just amazing to watch him in front of me. His hair fell over his eyes, so I really couldn't see his eyes. It was almost like seeing a ghost. And it was sad later on when he passed away. It's that memory still sticks with me, but it was so heavy. He looked so in his element. To hear him go from quiet to a loud scream, and to see him play those songs, and he plays guitar really well too. Just the whole band, the whole experience was amazing, and I'm thankful that I have that. I'm thankful that I found his music and everything that he did, because this one person, Chris Cornell, had a huge impact on my life. So never underestimate your own life. It's amazing what you could do. We might not, you, me, any of us, we might not do something as profound as Chris Cornell, but it doesn't matter. We all have an impact. So if you're curious, if you're new to Chris Cornell, particularly if you don't like loud screaming music, you might not dig Soundgarden, but if you wanted to start off with anything, I would say the Temple of the Dog album is probably my favorite when I think about all his work as a whole. Some of the best singing is on there, and a song that really means a lot to me. So many of his do, but there's a song on the Temple of the Dog album called All Night Thing. And when I first moved to Austin, I spent a lot of time alone. It was a wonderful time. I was 21. I was in a new town. I'd moved here with my friend Chris Head. And we were experiencing this time. Everything was just so new. It was so fresh. But inevitably, I spent a lot of time alone just because there are different jobs and stuff like that. And I remember going out late at night and hearing music and trying to experience the culture of Austin, which is very rich in music and very rich in just diversity and subcultures and all that kind of stuff. But I remember that song playing in my head often. So I'm going to put that link up on my Facebook page so for you to easily go check out and stuff like that. But it was just amazing. It was profound. I hope that you'll listen to it. If you want, the best way I think to listen to anything is to download it, play it through headphones, and listen to it turned up pretty loud with no distractions. Anyway, that's my spiel. Let's move on. I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you about something now that inspired me a couple of years ago. It really moved me, and I'm hoping that it'll move you too. It was a story. It was a video story I found about this photographer in New York City. His name is Richard Rinaldi. You can look him up. He's still alive. He did this series called Touching Strangers. I think he put a book out about it. But this was like a video story I saw on YouTube or something, and it's incredible. I'm gonna put a link to it on my Facebook page. So go to MIXTAPE GUMBO on Facebook and find it, and it'll be a link for you to watch after you've listened to this, because it's really cool. You really got to see the whole thing to get the whole feel for it. But he basically was set up on this busy street in New York, just like you'd imagine it. I think it was at a corner. You know, New York's really diverse. There's a lot of different kind of people. I mean, you got rich people, poor people, young people, old people, people of all kind of class and money and no money and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know, he's a photographer. I'm sure he's got a good eye. It's New York. There's a lot of diversity there. So he was really trying to find people walking by that he knew would probably never talk to each other, or that you'd never assume they knew each other or would even have any kind of contact or conversation with each other. And he'd pull them aside and ask them if they wouldn't mind being photographed. And so he was taking people, I mean, look, we're talking about like children with different mothers, young people, older people, rich people, poor people, black people, white people, just all different races, all different, creeds, all different everything. And, of course, as you can imagine, some people were uncomfortable. I mean, that would be a little strange and stuff like that. But he'd take the video showed him taking the photograph, and then he'd actually show the photograph of the actual one that he took, so you'd see it in still form. And then they would show an interview of some of the people that he took, because after he photographed them, he wanted to talk to them and ask them questions about what they thought about it. Of course, some people were like, it was weirded out by it, but overwhelmingly, it seemed that most people were really moved by it, and they were surprised that they were moved so much. It seemed so strange, but some of them, particularly, like, it was really interesting. You just have to see the video. There were some younger and older people, and they were just surprised, because he was asking them, I should probably tell you this, real important, he was asking them to embrace, to hold hands, to hug each other, to put their arms around each other, sometimes even cheek to cheek, whatever people felt comfortable with, but they needed to embrace. And these were complete strangers, but so many of them were moved by the experience because they recognized that they probably would have never talked to this person had they not been asked to, but since they did, they now felt a connection that wasn't there before. I know this probably isn't going to happen in the real world, but just the thought of this was huge to me. It's just amazing. I think about it often because there's this weird veil that's always behind us, man. Seems like there's so much between you and a stranger. But when it comes right down to it, an event could happen that could make you very close. And it's just like a thin veil that you move out of the way. And now there's openness. And that openness leads to connection. It doesn't always happen that way. I know that, but the idea of it, the thought that could happen. It was amazing to see some of these people. I'd love to hear more stories about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any thoughts, go to my page, write me on the page, and I'd love to hear what everybody thinks on this type of stuff. I think this is the kind of stuff that makes the world go round. Anyway, you don't have to feel the same. It's okay. I just thought I'd share. Anyway, next week I'm going to have some new stuff, some new ideas, and we're going to try a few new things. But in the meantime, always remember this. Everybody looks better with a smile. See y'all later.
when my world spins so fast, and the space between us seems so vast. In the middle of struggle, my mind is torn between the calmness and the storm. Screaming, let the best part of me be free. And now I've been here so long, and now I cannot go.